Hello everybody, this is Shady here, and today we are going to talk about one of the biggest announcements at yesterday's State of Play for the PlayStation. So obviously, first of all, a little quick rundown. Obviously, Sony had a quick State of Play, around 40 minutes, announced a bunch of games. Some of the highlights were a sequel to Bloodstained, which I did not see coming, and it looks amazing. Yeah, Bloodstained was one of my favorite Metroidvanias. Obviously, this was made by the Igarashi, the same guy who made Symphony of the Night. Basically was his spiritual successor, was kickstarted, and obviously was successful enough for them to be able to fund their own sequel, which is kind of amazing. Really looking forward to that. Yeah, new characters, everything looks great. We've got a release date for Silent Hill F, which is incredible, and it's out this year, which is, yeah, I could not believe that. Yeah, Neo 3 as well, I did not see that coming. And Sony producing a Marvel fighting game developed by Arc System Works. Yeah, some really good announcements. And it's really funny because you've got the usual like grifters and idiots online trying to say, this State of Play was bad. It's like, it was really solid. But obviously, the main game I want to talk about is Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced. Or no, sorry, just Final Fantasy Tactics. The Ivalice Chronicles. So yeah, the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster is real. This has been kind of rumored for years. Yeah, I think, there was discussion about it. There was kind of these kind of rumors that it was apparently cancelled as well, which obviously all turned out not to be true. Obviously, yeah, if you guys didn't know, a few years back, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, we had Tactics Ogre. Sorry, I can't speak properly. But Tactics Ogre had a remaster, and apparently it underperformed. So people were speculating that meant that Final Fantasy Tactics wasn't going to happen. But obviously, yeah, it's not true. And this is a really good release. But before we talk about that, obviously, I want to give a bit of a rundown about what Final Fantasy Tactics is. So, back in 1997, obviously after the success of Final Fantasy VII, everything, basically Square Enix made what was kind of the first big spin-off to the Final Fantasy series, which was Final Fantasy Tactics. And obviously the name Tactics, as you can imagine, it's a strategy RPG. Like Fire Emblem and, all those types of games, Disgaea. Basically, you're on a grid, you move your characters on a board, essentially. You usually have around 10 party members or so. What's great about this is obviously it has, like, the full job system, a la Final Fantasy V. It has a really great story, essentially about, like, warring nations. The series has been dormant for a while. So obviously we had the original 97, and then years later we had Tactics Advance for the Game Boy Advance, which was kind of like the big return to Final Fantasy on Nintendo. And then that game had a sequel on the DS, Tactics Advance 2. And then there was the remaster of this game, Tactics, War of the Lions for the PSP. And then that got a mobile release, and then that's basically been it. But yeah, what's great about this particular version is obviously this is a full remaster coming to all platforms. So that's basically, PS4 and 5, which is amazing. PS4 still getting games, which is awesome. Xbox Series systems, Switch 1 and 2, and Steam. So yeah, can be available for everyone. And what is great about this release is you're getting that War of the Lions version as well. So you have classic and remastered version. So obviously the classic version, like I already alluded to, this is basically the Tactics Advanced version, or the War of the Lions edition for PSP, but obviously 1080p or whatever the resolution will be. And obviously, that's basically balanced like the original game near enough. Because that version just added like an opening cutscene, animated one, and some voice acting, and had a kind of slightly updated translation from the original PSP version, or the PS1 version. So yeah, that's the closest to the original you're going to get. And obviously this new version is going to add a bunch of kind of accessibility features. Firstly, a difficulty option, which is great because the original game is kind of difficult unless you're like really big into strategy RPGs. I remember really struggling with the game because I played the PSP version when it first came out pretty much. Yeah, it was quite tough. But I mean, that was my first strategy RPG, so so that's great. I imagine that means you know, normal, easy, hard, or whatever. And then obviously there's like a fast forward feature. You can actually see turn order, which is good, so you can plan out things properly. And probably the best thing is there's now a kind of a better way of seeing how the job system works, because obviously in these tactics games, essentially how the job system works is you will level up one particular job and then it can lead into another one, and you kind of have to get certain jobs, you need to kind of like level multiples and stuff. So it's designed in a way to just make it easier, so you know how to progress. So it'll be like physical jobs, magical, you know, DPS, them sort of things. So you'll know how job progression works, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to unlock those advanced classes or the ones you're looking for. So, you know, if you're looking for like a dragoon or something like that, you know, it'll be a lot easier for you to figure out. But overall, yeah, this just looks like a great release. It's going to be, looks like it's very similar to like a lot of the 2D HD ones, like Tactics Ogre and Star Ocean and stuff like that. It's going to be like fully voice acted. There's a new voice cast. It's going to be, looks like it's going to be a new script. Like, for example, Ben Starr is going to be playing the lead, which is awesome. It's great that he's now like kind of become one of the mainstays in Final Fantasy, which is cool. I think we all like this guy, don't we? So he's a great choice. And then obviously there's going to be new scenes between characters, and obviously a few extra bells and whistles which I haven't quite talked about. So yeah, just expect it to be the definitive experience pretty much, which is awesome. And yeah, I have to really praise them for having the original game involved, or allowing you to play the classic version. I really think this needs to be a thing with a lot of these kind of remasters, because there's, you know, because for a lot of us, we want that original version accessible as well, because, you know, there's nothing worse than having like a particular edition of a game kind of locked away and not available. So that's really cool. And yeah, this is actually coming out on the 30th of September, which is a month before the Dragon Quest 1-2 2D HD. So yeah, we've got some, you know, even though it's been a bit slow for Square Enix, the end of the year looks really good. Obviously today, Switch 2 launched, we got Bravely Default Remaster. Yeah, like I said, we got this release now, and obviously Dragon Quest. Yeah, and obviously Summer Game Fest is coming up, so there's going to be more. Yeah, I don't think it'll be too long before we see something about Final Fantasy 7 Part 3. I think we might get some kind of early idea of 17. Yeah, all we know about that game is that they're going to go for like a new director pretty much, and they, you know, they want fresh blood pretty much, someone to give a new perspective to the series. So that'll be interesting. Kingdom Hearts 4, I'm sure we'll hear something about at Summer Games Fest. And yeah, looks like it's going to be a pretty good end to the year. What is frustrating though is obviously I'm going to do a separate video about this, but Silent Hill F is out on the 25th of September, so 5 days before this, and then a few days after that we got Ghost of Yotai on like the 5th, I think it is, of October. So yeah, it's going to be quite a difficult month. So yeah, I think, yeah, I'm going to have to make a difficult choice there out of which game to get, because I want to play all three. So, but yeah, that's pretty much everything for this video. Thanks for watching as always, and have a great rest of your day.